Today's presentation is on, this is only for the left. You can't be listening to this if you're on the right. Scout's honor. Okay, so I've done this. I don't know about, how you want to do this? You want to do this? It's called genealogy. There's genealogy. I need to turn the fan on. Genealogy. There's a postmodernism. There's also just like history, I guess. So the point of this is only for the left. Okay. The whole accusation against the left was always, you guys became postmodernists, which postmodernism, if you give it the most valuable definition, would be something like, look for what created something. So like, what created, like what created, I could put like 10 things here. It could be like Hitler, George Washington. I could give you 50 examples of like what created it. What was the milieu? Is milieu a good word? Zeitgeist. What was the zeitgeist of colonial 13 colony America when George Washington? What was the milieu or the zeitgeist of Nazi Germany? Anything. Civil War. Any event, I guess you could like Civil War or World War I. I can just put a bunch of big events here and then ask yourself, what was the milieu? So that could be history, I guess, but then it could also be a genealogy, like what caused what was the thing going on at the time? I don't know if that's genealogy. I'm probably misusing the word genealogy. And I think postmodernism throws a little bit in there too, but I don't know. I don't want to use that word too much. So you liberals are supposed to be all postmodern. You're supposed to be like, why did this happen? Or what was the feelings? So like the famous postmodern example would be like, instead of studying, like, you'd study the 3 million slaves. What was the slaves like in the South? Or what was the life of the serf on the czarist piece of farm or whatever? I don't know, whatever they're teaching them, these kids these days. And, they wouldn't probably teach, like, the generals or whatever, or generals. Like, it is like Lee or, like, Grant, yada, yada, yada. They'd be like, what was life like in Tennessee when blah, 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 blah. So, and liberals are supposed to be famous for doing this. This is what they're supposed to be famous for. So, here's the name of this is now, I'm kind of fascinated by this. This is my new semi-fascination, is the zeitgeist or the cultural milieu of the early Christians now. This is my new fascination because as a bank robber, which is what I am, I'm a bank robber. I'm a criminal. I must know what I'm looking at. If I'm going to try and get through the fucking, if I'm going to try and get through the 1-foot door to steal the money out of the safe, I got to be able to get through the metal. I got to be able to diagram the fucking shit. I got to be able to diagram the building, diagram the society, diagram the cultural milieu and all that bullshit. So, why has the left not done a good cultural analysis of what did Christianity come from? What is its bedrock? What is the bedrock of Christianity? Bedrock. Or what is the cultural milieu? What is the structural force that holds it together? And this is where I think I'm a genius, but I could be literally a retard. I probably think I'm a genius. Rome took over Israel. Everyone knows that, right? So people had their, I can't spell Israel. I need to learn to spell Israel. They got taken over, and they got their shit pushed in. So, what were the Christians, the early Christians? They were insurgents. I say they're insurgents. I say insurgents. So, what is the fundamental bedrock of Christian culture? It is testing. It's a testing. It's a constant testing. And they all go around smelling each other's breath like you have chocolate on your breath. I should not use the chocolate analogy, but in France, the Vichy France, they had the Nazis would give they have resources that the French didn't have, right? The Romans have more resources than the Israelis have, and they can be like, hey, I'll give you $10, $20, $50, $100. I'll give you some chocolate. I'm going to call this chocolate, okay? Chocolate. And so the Israelis would be like, hey, we got an insurgency going here, and then they'd see someone eating a piece of chocolate. Let's say you saw your friend Bob, the Israeli, eating a piece of chocolate. You'd be like, where'd you get that chocolate, Bob? And the only way he was going to get it was from the fucking Romans, so he was selling everybody out, right? So the early Christians have a high level of, it's actually a very populist, it's actually a very, what do I use the word, communal, but very Snoopy, communalism. So for example, if you see someone eating chocolate and you're like, where'd you get that chocolate, buddy? He got it from Rome, and Rome is going to fucking kill you all if they find out you're doing an insurgency. So they go around smelling each other's breath, always looking like, hey, is this guy eating chocolate or not? So there's a lot of communalism or snoopiness, a lot of snoopiness. It's very, and then that continued. So they always had an external enemy. They always had Rome as like, Rome's going to kill us if they find us out. So they always monitor each other. And they've kept that. They've kept that enemy dialectic, or you want to use enemy dialectic? External enemy, or a constant, remember, they literally came from that. That's literally where they came from. I'm not insulting them. I'm saying historically that's where they came from. They came from a position of being in, if one of your little buddies is a Christian and he's eating chocolate, he sold out to the Romans and you're all going to die. So that constant sense of, so that enemy always trying to invade, how do you spell enemy? E-N-E-N. I'm going to spell it wrong. I think that's how you spell it. Enemy trying to, we'll say subvert, or we'll say corrupt. Subvert or corrupt? We'll say corrupt or subvert. Subvert or corrupt. So, if you are a lefty and you're looking for ways to mentally fuck with them, you got to realize this is how they think. That's actually, they have a very enemy-viewed worldview. And it comes, which you guys should have done this. You guys are supposed to be the liberal, you're supposed to be the genealogists, you're supposed to be the postmodernists, you're supposed to be the ones who are like, where do these people come from? Because people, you're like, hey, the black guy speaks Ebonics, there's a logical reason for their, the black guy to be like, boogity 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 boo, and you guys defend that shit, so you guys should probably defend this shit too. You should probably look for like a logical reason for what their worldview is, which is their, so you have to use this to your advantage. Always use it to your advantage. Always find someone who is subverted or corrupted and throw them to the Christians they like to find someone they can claim as the subversion or the corruption, and then they can like eat them, destroy them or whatever. So that's the main understanding. So liberals need to understand this. If you're working in a Christian environment, it's similar to speaking Ebonics, or if you go to Islam and Islamic culture, you gotta, you wipe with your left hand and you eat with your right. It may sound stupid to you, but it's logical to them. So when you're in a Christian society, always look for someone who's fucking up harder than you that you can claim to be subverting the culture or corrupting the culture. Always look for someone you can blame the corruption and the subversion on, because everything should be good, but someone's subverting it, someone's corrupting it. Okay, so that's for you lefties out there. That's a better way to understand Christianity, and it'll help you understand what's going on when you watch these people. Because yes, I know black people going boogity 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 shizzle fizzle bizzle dizzle vizzle vizzle bizzle gizzle sounds fucking like a bunch of fucking retarded speak, and I know wiping your hand with your left hand and eating with your right sounds like something a fucking retard would do. But, there's a logical reason for it, probably. So that's my genealogy. That's only for the left. If you're on the right and you're listening to this, you've broken what I said. I said, Scouts Honor, you won't listen to this.